for my projects in the disseminative mode, I want to talk about my friend Jalen Drewski from high school. Him and I both went to boarding school in Pittsburgh, about an hour away from my house. He's from Toronto, and we actually developed a really good relationship. He lived just upstairs from me, and I would go up there and we would just kind of hang out, and he always talked to me about how he wanted to get into podcasting, and eventually his friends back home started a podcast, and that was like the perfect opportunity for him to get into it, and it was like his best friends. So he really wanted to be a part of it, and since he was in Pittsburgh and they were in Toronto trying to do sort of a web podcast where it would be filmed so they could play personas and kind of develop their own characters, and like different levels of interaction between different characters and just different chemistries. It was very hard for him to kind of cross that boundary because they're nowhere near in the same place to do that. So he tried to make do originally, and he just would hop on Skype. And whenever he would hop on Skype, he would always just get really, really irritated because he would tell me that either the Wi-Fi is failing at the school or it would just come through muffled to the audience. And so he just seemed like more of a guest on the show than an actual like persona or character. And he just thought that it wasn't for him then, if that was the only way he was going to be able to talk to them, because it was more of a guest appearance and they really didn't understand him at times, nor did his personality come across because he just wasn't there. So that was scrapped, and he actually did away with podcasting. But he actually just got back into it a year ago. He graduated college a year ago, and he got back with his friends from Toronto, and they just started doing the podcast again. They just kind of picked it up, like he never scrapped it, and they had kind of like did it off and on, but then they stopped at some point. But now it's like actually up and running, and they're dedicating their time to it again because they're all in the same place. They're done with school. It's actually a good listen. I'll leave a link, but the reasons the podcast right now is centered on the same reasons why my friend Jalen wanted to get into doing podcasts, which is entertainment. He wanted to talk about the latest fashion, he's a basketball player, so he wanted to talk about basketball and trends in basketball, or just who's winning, hip hop, blogs, other things, anything that's going on, anything trendier in the news, he wanted to just speak about. So I thought that was very interesting. That's kind of what drove him, and it actually eventually brought him back to it. So good for him, and that's my story for the disseminative mode.